Series under the chair, so.
Johnny.
Yeah.
This is actually a question for you and other people in tech, in fact, but we'll start with you.
Okay.
So if a cool, new, amazing technology was invented in the next year, what would be in mind that you'd be like, this is technology I want to use on Desert Bus? What's something that you're like, boy, it'd be really great to have one of X?
That's a tough question. Like, really, the vast majority of new technology that we've introduced into Desert Bus is just more expensive professional equipment that's become more affordable and reasonable to acquire, and not stuff that is bleeding edge stuff.
But let's get ridiculous. Like, they invented a silent drone.
Yeah, well, we had talked about, like, I looked into some stuff about, like,
Sarah's reaction when you said that.
like some tracking stuff, like tracking different, like, visual trackers, so that you could use it to not necessarily replace camera switching, but just so that you could make sure that you would be able to have the action in that you wanted in the shot at the time. But
Is it like a follow spot or something?
Kind of.
Camera?
Like
Always watching?
Polycom has the technology for video conferencing that when somebody's talking, the camera
camera
knows,
just
oh, it's
points
this microphone. Vroom.
Yep, and it points at them. And so that's not that. You know, I really can't think of anything that I would want to jump on.
Ooh,
like,
smell-o-vision.
No.
Even if it was too, like, even if money was no object, like brand new cutting edge technology, like, we're not really about that. We're about hacking existing technology as kind of our thing. So it was hard for me to kind of think of anything that we would want to jump on. Like, Twitch doesn't broadcast in 4K, so we're not going to, like, jump to 4 or even 8K, right? Like, that's not something we're going to do anytime.
What about, like, lighting solutions or, like...
Yeah, well, there's some interesting stuff with sound. Like, there's different kinds of soundbar technologies for getting audio. Like, I know we've just gotten some recent stuff in the educational space where it's like giant beamform microphones that actually can detect sound waves in the space and isolate sound, and they're just absolutely incredible at picking up sound in a room and can dial out. They have, like, a lot of like built-in DSPs for, like, controlling all the sound in it, and so you don't actually have to have that as separate controls that you work on. Or it's like a box you put on the ceiling, and it just, like, does a really good job of picking up sound in there, and you don't have to do a lot of work with it.
Neat.
Because doing microphones well is a challenge, but we've got people to do it, so it's not that big of a deal. The cost for getting something like that probably wouldn't be worth it.
Yeah, but it's just like money is no object.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
like,
maybe doing something with beamform. I don't know enough about lights to know what would be, like, really good cutting edge technology with lights.
What about like a silent air conditioning unit for engineering?
Oh, that would be just silent air conditioning altogether, because
silent
That's
technology
right,
would be good.
Yeah, like, there's engineering is really hot this year.
Yeah, it is.
You guys have the window cracked?
We do, and we have the air conditioning unit that you brought for us. It's on full blast all the time,
just constantly circulating.
Well, we should maybe close the window and to see if it does anything differently. But it's sucking the fresh air out from outside into the room.
Okay.
And it's not helping that much.
That's the point of the window being open.
I know, but that air conditioner, generally, you don't want it just like an open window that your cold air could also escape, right?
Yeah. So you want to set up a circulation, so it's like you need to be moving air. The problem is you guys are moving. If you're moving air, you're moving it in like in a ring, as opposed to, like, you're moving air from the back of the room out the window.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like air's just moving around, and it's like nothing's happening down below or nothing's happening up above.
We're like air-splaining right now. We're like in this nice air-conditioned room telling Sarah how she should do her air.
Yeah, well, it's one of those times where, you know, you're in a small room with like 8 computers.
Yes.
And you realize that computers
put out a lot of heat.
Are space heaters you can play games on.
And two of the computers that we're using there are like 12-core Xeons with, like, big, huge, massive power supplies.
Like 750
Okay,
watts?
so I've got it. So rather than having the computers located in the room, what if all the ingest and everything was being done on computers in the server closet, and everything was being controlled via terminal?
Yeah, maybe. Like, we use a lot of the functionality in cards on there. Like, we're plugging in USB devices all the time. There's a capture card in there. Theoretically, given enough time, we could cable everything up. Like, the SDI cables that we use for all of our video are pretty long. That's probably a newer technology that's available would be really good is we did a lot of stuff this year to switch a couple of things to what's called NDI technology, which is a way of doing full quality. You probably know all about this.
But don't tell me, you're telling chat.
Yeah, it's a way of doing full quality video over IP. So like for years you'd be able to put video over a regular Ethernet cable, but basically what it did is convert an HDMI signal into an HDMI signal that traveled over a Cat6 cable, right? Like it's the same information that's on an HDMI, it just has Cat6 ends. It's a little box to convert it. So
Cat7.
Yeah.
Contributing!
Yeah.
But the NDI actually is data. Like it's video data, it's really high quality, very low latency, and we're currently using it to send the stream to multiple computers in the area, so it's in the closed network, and you get very little loss and very low latency. So it's really good that way. And it's also, there's a bunch of technology that uses it. You can now get pan-tilt zoom cameras like Kevin that's how they operate. They just do video out from that. So you theoretically just Cat6 wire everything. It's power, camera control, and video. And you have a bunch of these really good quality pan-tilt zoom cameras, and it's just all Cat6 cables into a switch. And then you just have like a laptop or something that has a control scheme for it, and you can control it. You don't need big, powerful computers because it's all just done.
Which, from a university perspective, is probably amazing because it means like you can literally set up a camera in a room and be like, we just slam Cat6 through it, and then send it back to the switch, and we can just intercept, like we can just read from that and be like, let's just save that onto a server, put it up as like notes or something for a prof.
And the great thing about that is that it just has to be on the same network. It's not like that Cat6 cable has to be plugged into a computer that's got a capture card on it to get it, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't need a conversion box. It's just the computer that's streaming or recording or controlling or whatever needs to be plugged into the same high-speed network that the cameras are plugged into.
Yeah.
And but you need a very fast network that has good solid infrastructure. But so that's probably that's not bleeding edge technology, but that's newer technology, and it's more money than we would have to be able to afford it. But also those kind of cameras are great because they're pan-tilt zoom and you can move them all around. They're not as good quality as the kind of cameras that Loading Ready Run has for their streaming. So we would actually take a little hit in quality for that, for way more flexibility though.
I think people have seen that too when you switch to Kevin and Kevin has a shot of the room. It's like, it's not quite as crisp in the same ways.
Kevin's more of an industrial camera, not really for production streaming, right? It's more like security and educational purposes, and not really for high quality broadcast streaming. But gives really cool, interesting angles. And
anything then from engineering? Is there anything you guys would like pie in the sky thing that would help you do your job better? Maybe headphones that have like a switch so you could be like, I want to listen to this side, now I want to listen to what the chat's hearing, like that kind of thing?
I've got a couple actually. One would be just better wireless in general, both for internet access and so we could do NDI over Wi-Fi to do remote camera. The other would be a lav mic with an NFC transceiver so that when you get more than 5 feet away from the chair, it auto-mutes.
Oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
That's kind of cool.
Here, let's try to do an NDI thing. Sarah, do you know how to turn that on the on OBS? So there should be an NDI source in the OBS. If we're both on the network, you have to make sure.
Saying letters.
If you are on the network called Broadcast, which everyone can just pretend that they didn't know that there was a network called Broadcast.
Whoa. Oh, you hide it from us, don't you?
No, it's not hidden. I didn't hide the SSID. I just didn't give anyone the password. Did you find that, Sarah?
Sure.
The NDI source? Oh, they're figuring it out.
And we're $50 away from
Oh.
19 grand chip.
Wait,
There we
you
go.
can just
So
do
good.
that